Hello everybody and welcome to the second part of the 100 plus tips series. For over a year now I've been making a list of information on everything I learned that I thought was super useful, and today I'm going to be sharing numbers 16 through 45. So let's get started with tip number 16. So the first thing I want to talk about is the fortune enchantment. So fortune ranges from fortune 1 to fortune 3, and the higher the number you have, the better chance you have at getting more items, or also a better chance of getting the max amount of items. So it's most commonly known that it works on these 5 ores right here, and when you use it on these blocks it actually has a chance at multiplying the amount you would normally get without using fortune. So with just a regular pickaxe you always get 1 diamond from every diamond ore, but with fortune it could go all the way up to ×4, which means you could get 4 diamonds per every block you mine. So here's some more interesting blocks that you might not know it works on. So if you mine a leaf with fortune, it actually has a higher chance at dropping saplings or sticks, and the saplings is pretty useful for jungle leaves since they're pretty hard to drop, and that's a good way to increase your chances. And also for oak leaves it drops more apples. And with gravel it makes you have a higher chance of getting flint, and with fortune 3 it's a 100% chance to get flint. And with melons you have a better chance at getting more melons, but it maxes out at 9, so you can't actually get a profit of melons and make an infinite cycle of crafting up these big melon blocks and then mining it again and getting more and more. And then also with mushroom blocks you have a better chance of getting mushrooms as well as getting more. With the grass here you have a better chance at picking up seeds, it's the same with ferns. And with the glowstone block you have a better chance at getting glowstone, but it maxes out at 4. And now for the stuff that I found pretty interesting. So after doing some tests myself and doing some research, I found out that fortune also works on all these things here. So you could actually get more carrots and potatoes if you break the crops with the fortune tool. You could also get more beetroot seeds as well as wheat seeds. And so one thing is it actually doesn't give you more wheat from harvesting the wheat plant, you always still get 1 per plant, but it does increase the amount of seeds. And so for nether wart it also gives you more, and for sweet berries you also get more. And so now for my final things with fortune, here's some stuff that I thought might work but actually doesn't. So clay, it seems like it always just drops 4 no matter what tool you use. For mushroom stems it actually never drops anything. Snow blocks is 4 every single time, just the same as clay. And the bookshelves always just drop 3 books, unless you use silk touch it drops the bookshelf itself. And it also doesn't work on shears, you can't use the fortune enchantment on shears to get more wool from sheeps or to do anything like that. And then also right here I have a few more plants. So the fortune enchantment didn't seem to affect cocoa beans, and also beetroot and wheat. When you harvest the plant with fortune, it doesn't drop any more of these 2 plants, it only drops more of their seeds. So I promise the other tips won't take as long as this one, but there's definitely a lot I wanted to talk about. Let's move on to number 17. Well, I just remembered this one was next, and this one actually takes a little while, so I'll try to go quick. So what I want to do with this one is show you how to convert this Minecraft house, which is a very basic starter house, into one that looks quite a bit nicer into this one over here, just using a few different techniques. So the first thing I did is add some stairs to the roof to make it look a bit more gradual. So now what I'm going to do is make the roof look a bit better by adding both an outline and an overhang. So for the outline all you have to do is go to the edge of the roof and place some more roof blocks off the side of it, so that way you get this overhang that goes over the front of the house. I'm going to do the same on the side as well. And one other thing to know is I'm also placing stairs on the bottom of the overhang, so that way it doesn't look so weak. So that whole outline and overhang is done apart from the one spot up here, so I'm just adding some more slabs to the roof to finish out that outline. So now it's already looking way better, but it does still look a bit weird. So what I'm going to do is add more outline along the edges and add in some structure by just putting some logs in the corner. That's a super simple trick that you've probably seen before. So it's already looking very nice. What I'm going to do is add some windows and depth to the build. So how I'm going to do that is by adding in these little pieces here, as well as adding in some windows with some little shutters that you could close, and then also adding this piece up on top. But you get an idea of what it looks like. I'm just trying to get rid of that slant on the roof just to add a bit more detail. And I'm also going to add some depth to it by adding this little entranceway, and then we're also going to add the details we have up on top. So far what we did is we added an outline and an overhang to the roof. We added some detail by adding on this little structure off the side of the roof. We also added some depth to the build by breaking up the walls using some stairs and some windows with shutters and glass panes. We also added an outline and structure using these logs. The final thing I want to do for the outside is add a bit of environment to it to make it look like it's set in, and the easiest way to do that is to take some leaves and scatter it around the build. You could also add in a little pond or a pathway, and then also some light sources are always very nice. And those first two were definitely too much information to fit in such a short time, so here's a nice simple one. If you're going swimming underwater in survival and you need to breathe under the water, the easiest thing to do is bring a stack of doors and then you could just jump inside like this, so you'd be totally safe in here. You could breathe, you could jump out, go wherever you need to and place another door. And so it's actually just a super simple way to go explore Guardian Temple or to breathe without using any type of potions or conduits or anything else. So here's another simple one. If you play on the default controls, if you press the F key on your keyboard, it'll actually swap items from your hotbar to your offhand, which is nice for when you need to go through and switch between torches or food or whatever else, and that's actually something I use quite a lot. So for this next one, what I'm going to try to do is select this whole area and clone this building. So there we go, that whole building selected, and now what I'm going to do is go way off in the distance and try to clone it in somewhere very far away. So now we left that island way behind, but now what I want to do is clone that house on this new island over here. So I'm going to go try to do the clone command of the house we just selected, and if I enter it in, it says this position is not loaded. So I'm thinking, uh-oh, how am I supposed to clone it from that far away? But all you have to do is get someone to log in, and you could do that by going here and opening the game to LAN, or just having someone else join the game. Once they join in, they could go over in that area where the house is and load it in, and as long as you have someone in the world loading in that position, you'll be able to clone it in no matter where you are, even if it's thousands of blocks away. So this next one is for villagers. If you want to have a villager contained in an area, a really easy way to do that is just to add a trapdoor either on the floor or the ceiling, as you could actually walk right through this without even hitting shift, but as you can see, the villager really wants to get out, but he's not able to because he's a bit taller. So when you try to run through the water, what happens is you go into swim mode, which is super useful because then you're actually able to be only 1 block tall and you're able to get into small areas. The thing is, there's no way to go into swim mode on land, well, at least not without some help. But if you take a trapdoor or a piston and you put it up on top of your head, and now you go down to this mode right here, you can see I'm actually in swim mode, which means I'm only a block tall. So if I had a block area I needed to squeeze into, I could actually fit through there, which is super useful when getting into really compact redstone projects or trying to make it through a small area without breaking the surrounding blocks, and that's something I use quite often. But what I use even more often than a trapdoor is just an elytra. So if you go to the same 1 block area, you can do the thing of placing the trapdoor like this and going through it. You can see I just fit through a 1 block area. But if you don't have a trapdoor with you and you do have elytra, what you could do is just go and jump up, open your elytra, and go right through the same gap just using your elytra. So here's that again from a different perspective, jump up and jump again, and now I fit into that same area without even needing the trapdoor at all. I hope most of you guys already know this, but if you don't, this is probably going to be one of the best things you ever heard. But if you hold down the shift key on your keyboard and you click on any object, it automatically moves it from your inventory to a chest. This also works with crafting tables now, furnaces, and everything else. So you could just go and click on all these and put them into the chest super quick. You could do the same thing to take them all back out. And one other thing is you could hit shift click to take stuff out of your armor slots and put them in here. The only thing you can't do is put it into your offhand, but you can still move it through your inventory. And this is probably one of my most used little shortcuts. So I just jumped over to the Nether. But anyway, this one used to always worry me, but as I was going through and breaking the netherrack in the Nether, I used to be worried that I'd go past the zombie pigmen and accidentally hit him as I was going around swinging and breaking blocks. But you can see I'm breaking this block right over here, but even as I go past the pigmen, nothing happens. I don't actually hit it. The only way anything like that could happen is if I lift up the key and I click it down while staring at him. So for this next one, it's another set of simple Minecraft controls. So if you press the number keys on the keyboard, it takes you to that corresponding spot on the hotbar. So if I press 2, it goes to the pig eggs. If I press 1, it goes to the golden apples. If I press 9, it goes over here. If I press 5, 6, 3, 2, 5, 6, 7, 5, 8, you can see how it jumps around. And honestly, I never really used those controls, but I could see them being of help. So the Minecraft turtle eggs will only hatch if you place them on the sand block, and that does not include the red sand block. It will only grow on the regular sand block. If you place turtle eggs on anything else, they'll actually never hatch, which could be useful for certain farms, but if you want your turtle eggs to hatch, make sure you place them on sand. And another weird thing about turtle eggs is they grow quicker or they need the night cycle or something, but pretty much if you're trying to get turtle eggs to hatch, don't sleep through the night and stay up because it makes them hatch way quicker. So this next one is kind of a dumb little trick when you're out exploring the end cities. So what you have to do is if you want to grab this dragon head, instead of going up here and breaking it like this, you'll have a really high chance of dropping into the void if you try to do that. All you need to do is break the stair, the dragon head will stay there, then go and get your pickaxe, break it just like that, and you'll be able to pick it up a whole lot easier. So that's just a dumb little trick, but it usually works pretty well, and that's what I do. So for this next one, I have a looting sword and a bow and arrow. So everybody knows that if you hit a mob with a looting sword, it will drop more items. But did you know that if you shoot a bow and arrow at a mob and you quickly scroll over to the sword, it will actually drop the same amount as if you went up and hit it with the sword itself? So we'll try to do this real quick. If we shoot the guy, that shouldn't do anything, but the second shot, we'll wait for him to stop running around. Alright, so you gotta be speedy with this one. This is kind of tricky. Switch over real quick. We should have actually gotten more items. Let's test this out on a chicken because it should be pretty apparent. So I'm going to use a chicken as a test subject since I think it's a one-shot kill, and also a chicken can only drop 2 chickens if it's killed with looting. It's one of those weird things. So if we shoot this guy and scroll over real quick, let's see, and there's some proof. We got 3 chickens for that, which is only possible with looting. So the way that looting works is it detects whatever weapon you're holding at the time. It doesn't recognize that you're killing it with the bow, it only recognizes that you're holding the sword when the animal died, which means it gives you the looting effect. So here's a little building tip. If you want to have a map that's protected by some glass, instead of putting it 1 block back and having a glass block right here, what you could actually do is place a glass pane right in front. All you have to do is have the item frame that the map is in on a block that the glass pane can't connect to. So I'm using this fence gate for that, and then I also have a sea lantern back here to add some light to it. So even in the dark, you would have a nice little bright and protected map. So the next thing I want to share is the biggest thing I've ever learned about redstone. So when I first started out, I thought that the redstone had to point directly into whatever you're powering. But what I later learned is that these 2 redstone dust here also power the blocks underneath them, which means that if I place an object to the side of those 2 blocks, it will actually get powered as well, which makes certain things so much easier. You can see the repeater does the same thing, it gets powered. But one thing is that if you take a repeater and you have a powered repeater on top of a block, that block will actually not power anything. So it only works with redstone, and also torches do something weird. This is quasi-connectivity doing this. That's a whole different thing. But pretty much what it is that the redstone dust the block it's on powers the block underneath, which allows you to attach things to it, like a whole line of pistons or anything else. So here's 2 quick time related ones. If you throw an item on a floor, it will actually despawn after 5 minutes, and it used to be in creative mode it would despawn after 1 minute, but I'm pretty sure that's changed now. So if you die, you have 5 minutes to collect all of your items exactly. And then also the Minecraft day lasts for 10 minutes and the Minecraft night lasts for 10 minutes, so a full day cycle in Minecraft is 20 minutes. So the next thing I want to share is about immovable blocks. So that's any block that can be pushed by a piston. You can see we have a furnace right here, and if I try to activate this piston to extend it, nothing happens, it doesn't work. Whereas this one, you can see it's able just to push the block in front. So I'll put up a list of everything that can be pushed by a piston. But now for the one block that kind of defies all those rules, and that's glazed terracotta. So you can see if I try to activate an immovable block, nothing happens, it can't be pushed. And if I try to activate this one with a movable block, you can see it extends it and retracts it. But the weirdest one of all is the glazed terracotta, and this is only glazed terracotta, not regular terracotta. So if I activate the sticky piston, it extends the block, but it's unable to retract it. And the same applies for slime blocks. Slime blocks will slide right past this stuff. Same with the movable blocks, but the weird thing about this one is it's still able to be pushed with a piston, like you saw right at the beginning. So when you're playing Minecraft, you could hit the escape key to pause the game. So right now, this whole game is paused. If a creeper was right in front of me on survival about to explode, it would freeze exactly where it is. The only stuff that doesn't freeze is little animated blocks. So if I do the same thing here, and I hit escape, you can see the kelp still moves, if you're even able to see it. But the weird thing is that it only pauses it on single player, and if you try to do the same thing on multiplayer or if you have LAN open, just like this. But now since I have LAN open and I do the same thing, the squid in the background here actually still swims around because the game is still going. If the same creeper was right in front of me now, he would continue to explode and take me out, and the only way to pause it on multiplayer if you're playing on a server or you're doing anything else is just to exit out of the whole game. I feel like we're really picking up speed now. The next thing I want to share with you guys is if you do the game rule command, you could do all kinds of stuff. And one thing you could do is change the random tick speed. So if I set this to 1000 or something really high, all the sea kelp in the ocean would start to grow super quickly, and anything else like sugarcane or cactus that grows based on the random tick speed would start to move a lot faster. But the normal random tick speed that every world is default at is just 3, and this was something I learned from Ilmango, because I was never sure if it was 1 or what it was. So if you want to set it back to normal, just set it to the value of 3. So here's another really important tip. If I go right up to the torch, we have a light level of 14, and every block I go out from it, that light level drops by 1. But the thing is, as soon as that light level gets down to 7, which is where I'm standing now, and it's the whole diagonal around this thing, all those blocks that are 7 or lower are mob spawnable, which means that enemies like creepers and zombies and everything else, like this guy right over here, can spawn in. So if you want to have a room that's fully safe by lighting it up, you need to make sure that every spot is 8 or higher, because anything that's 7 or lower is spawnable. And this tip fits perfectly with the previous one, but one way to actually highlight sources are to place transparent blocks on top of them. So you might think that glass is the only transparent block, but there's actually quite a few. You can see with the sea lantern underneath, but if I place the carpet on top, it doesn't block the light at all, as compared to if I placed a block like this on top. So the carpet actually allows light to go through. Same with shulker boxes, composters, pressure plates, cauldrons, and trapdoors. And also all these blocks here, so we got cauldrons, we got leaves, we have ice, and this is a weird one because it actually melts, so you have to be careful with that if you have it within a certain range. Beds are also another one that let light through, which makes sense, it has this little gap, but also repeaters and comparators, and so that's useful for placing down some light sources but hiding them. If I had a whole green build, I could place in these lime green shulker boxes and have some hidden light sources, and with the composter you could do a really cool hidden roof lighting source. So this next one involves the Nether. So every single block you're traveling in the Nether is actually 8 blocks in the overworld. So if I went in this portal and I traveled 100 blocks this way and I made another portal all in the Nether, that portal would actually be 800 blocks away in the overworld. And so another way to think about this is a chunk in the overworld, which is a 16 by 16 block, this area here, and if I go into the Nether, that's only a 2 by 2 area. And so that's why you always see people traveling through the Nether. You would cover an area 8 times quicker than you can on the overworld. So this next one is a bit of a personal preference, but if you press this green book here, it pops up with all the stuff you're able to craft. But if you click this one, it says it only shows craftable stuff. So right now I actually can't craft anything. I'll grab some items that I could craft in a second. But what it does is only items you could craft pop up, which is super useful. It's what I always have it at when I'm playing on my survival worlds. And so if I wanted to craft a whole bunch of furnaces, I'd place all my cobblestone in here, and only the things I could craft, which one of them would be the furnaces, I'd just be able to get it here. It's just a lot easier than having to go sort through all this stuff. So here's what that looks like. The only thing I could craft with is stone, so it pops up with all the stuff I could craft with just the stone and the crafting space I have here. And so I could craft a stone button, I could craft a pressure plate, I could craft a stone brick, and if I grab it here, it will craft it for me. I could also hold down shift and click on this here. It places as many possible items into the crafting area, and then I could do shift click here again to grab all those items once again, and now we no longer have any more craftable things. So this next tip will help us out with powering this long redstone line we have running from the redstone lamp all the way to the button over here. And so if I go at the very beginning and I click this button, it will only travel 15 blocks until it runs out of signal and nothing will happen to the light we have way down here. So what I'm going to do is replace that button with actually just a redstone torch, so that way we could keep it constantly powered to get an idea of what we're working with, and then we could look to see that the redstone line ends right here. And so now all we have to do is go to that very last one and break the first non-powered one and replace that with a repeater. Now we have to do the same thing over here, and what this does is it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to go counting out 15 blocks each time you want to place in a repeater. You just have to power it, and then you have the visual of what you're actually placing down and what it's actually doing. And now we made it all the way to the end to where the redstone lamp is powered, which means if we swap it back to our button, now if we replace that with our stun button, we could actually go activate the lamp way at the end of the line without having to worry about having the repeaters spaced in correctly. And so pretty much just power the beginning of the line and place in your repeaters as you go, as it makes it a lot easier. And so the next one is that redstone strength has a max of 15, so most things do an output of 15, which means if you power it here, it will travel along 15 redstone dust until it runs out of power. Although some things actually don't power that far, some things only power a single dot of redstone. That's usually the case when you're working with comparators, you could get some weird stuff. But the main max distance that a redstone can travel is 15, and so right now that's the max amount of space we have. There's 15 redstone dust in between these repeaters, just by using that one trick we just did. And wow, that was a lot of talking, a lot to go through, but the very last tip I have is a pretty simple one. I'm going to grab a water bucket, jump into survival, and show you guys it. It's definitely kind of a dumb one. So here it is. If you want to go through breaking a ton of grass, instead of going through like that, all you have to do is get a water bucket, place it down for a few seconds, pick it back up, and just do the same thing in any area you want to get rid of the grass. So you can see the whole area is cleared out just like that. But since that one's kind of lame, I want to share one more trick with you guys. It's not really a tip so much, it's just a weird game mechanic that I figured out that I haven't seen a single other person talk about ever. So let's go check that out. So now we're here at the top of the world at the build limit. You can see I can't place anything higher than this. To show you guys one of the weirdest things I've ever figured out. So I actually noticed this one while working on our drown farm in our survival world, and it still works to the time I'm recording this video, so I'm really excited to share it. All you need is a set of Elytra, and then some potions of leaping also help out a lot, and then you need to go up to the top of the world and then add in some waterlogged slabs just like this. So now I just set my game mode to survival, and I promise you guys there's no types of tricks going on. This is actually just a really weird game mechanic. So all I have to do is throw that potion of leaping, and now watch this. I'm wearing some Elytra. I'm so excited. This thing is the weirdest thing ever. I'm gonna open up the Elytra. Check this out. I'm levitating. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just levitating. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. If I look at my F3 coordinates, you can see we're at 310, 320. We're just levitating so quickly. They're 360, 370, 380, 390, 400. Look at that. We levitated all the way up here. Yeah, I'm on survival. This is no trick. It's just something really weird. Look, I dove down. I'm gonna dive all the way back down. Dive back up. We're at 270. We're at 300, 310, 320. I don't get how it works. It's so weird. So if you try to do that same thing without the waterlogged slabs, it acts pretty much normally. It's only when you do waterlogged slabs at the top of the world. And I don't know how it works. I think it probably still thinks you're in the water, and so it makes you try to swim upwards, but it's definitely so strange. Oh, and one other thing is you have to hold down spacebar the entire time in order to levitate. So I'm holding down spacebar right now, I'm going up, I let go spacebar, I'm diving down, and the one other thing is you need to have the right angle, you need to be slightly looking up, and then you just start levitating upwards. It's so weird. So I'm very glad I got to share that one with you guys, as that's the strangest thing I've ever seen. I don't know how you levitate. I think as soon as you go below the build limit, you actually start going back down. But look, I'm just levitating, I'm on survival. If I dive down, like, I'll take damage. Oh, I missed it. But you guys get the idea. Oh yeah, now it's not levitating anymore. But I think that's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series. We have lots more to come. This was 16 through 45 out of, if I check right now, 130 things I have listed. So there'll be more to come. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Thanks a bunch for watching. See you later, guys.